What's up, you guys? Someone recently came to me that was needing some help evaluating a business. Now, in this case, it was some FedEx routes, and they were trying to ask me what were some good questions that they should ask the seller when they go to meet him. And so I want to share a framework with you that I think will be very helpful with coming up with any sort of good question to ask a seller. And I also want to explain why this is so easy to screw up and why so many people will actually end up losing deals by asking the wrong questions. So when most people try to come up with questions on their own, they will generally pick similar sorts of questions out of about 6 different categories that I've seen. And one of those categories is the economy. They will say things like, hey, are we going into a recession? If we go through a recession, how do FedEx routes fare? If we do go through that, they will ask about whether there is inflation, how that will affect things. They will ask about whether Amazon is going to take over the world and destroy FedEx and everything that it touches and competes with. They will ask about the fuel cost. Hey, are we going to go bankrupt because the fuel costs are high? And finally, they'll ask about the e-commerce rates. Are people shipping more? Are they shipping less? How are things going in that regard? Something about the economy in general will pop up in a lot of these questions. So the second category people ask questions about is the financial side of things. So they'll ask for a tax return or a P&L or a balance sheet, these sorts of things. And reading a P&L is not hard. Like, nobody pretty much needs help reading that. It's interpreting whether the numbers that they're reading are BS or not. That takes some time and some expertise to be able to figure that out. That's for another video, another day. The other thing that they'll ask about is the FedEx company itself. Hey, is this company growing? Is it taking market share? Is UPS beating them? Oh, is FedEx going to bring everything in-house and fire all the contractors or whatever, right? These sorts of things about FedEx in general are pretty common. They will ask things about the staff. Hey, how long have people worked there? What's their pay rate? Those sorts of basic things. We know we got to hire and fire people. That's not news to anybody. There are obviously some big issues with a lot of the staffs, and that is a big point of evaluation. Again, another video for another day. And then also they will ask about the fleet. Now, unless you're really familiar with trucking in general and logistics and really have sort of an idea of your personal art of fleet management, those questions have a varying amount of value whenever people ask questions about that, because otherwise they're just going to say, what's the make, what's the model, what's the year, what's the miles? Hey, well, that's pretty much kind of all there is sometimes. So anyway, you got all these things. But the category I want to jump into today is the operations. They'll ask operational questions, and this is where people can get themselves into trouble. So one of the reasons why this is so tricky for most buyers is that it is impossible to tell the difference between a question that will result in a valuable and useful piece of data for their evaluation, or whether a question will be completely worthless and just give you some trivia. Let me give you an example. Let's say you ask the seller, what do we do if a driver tries to deliver a package and the road is covered in snow? And the seller says, okay, you want to know, we do a service cross. What's a service cross? Oh, a service cross is you draw a little X on the box, and then you put the date in there, you put the service code. Wait, what's a service code? Don't worry about that. It's these little codes that FedEx uses. Just bear with me. Hey, we put a service code, we put the date, we put the time, we do all this stuff. And then you say, okay, now I know. Were you going to back out of the deal now that you know how a service cross is done? Are you going to change your offer price? Oh, I need to change my offer. Boy, when I found out about service crosses, boy, this whole deal changed for me. No, it didn't. It didn't mean anything. It was worthless trivia. And so you may come up with another question on the operational level where, let's say you ask, hey, Mr. Seller, what happens if a driver misclassifies a status code on one of the packages? And one contractor may say, don't worry about it. As long as it's just a couple every day, like we deliver 10,000 packages, it's not going to be a big deal. And you ask the same question to another contractor, and he says, hey, too many of those wrong status codes, that could actually affect your contract. You could be found in breach, lose your whole business. This is a big problem. You need to fix it at the end of the day. Here's how to do it. So you have the same operational question to different contractors with very different answers. So you have a twofold problem. One is coming up with the right question to ask to begin with. Secondly, when you do come up with the right question to ask, you have two very legitimate, honest answers. One of them is the right thing to do, and one of them is wrong. And unless you understand that business, things get real messy real fast. And this is why I think that it's basically impossible to come up with the right questions, because it's hard to come up with the questions. And then secondly, when you get the answer, you're still not going to know whether it's valuable or not, because you don't know if this guy's running his business into the ground very slowly, or if he's doing things right and not cutting corners. That's hard. It's real hard. And it takes some time to be able to figure those things out. And so whenever I look at asking any question, I'm always trying to think, what am I going to do with this data? Will it make me change my offer price? Will it make me walk away from this? And so, for example, what's the difference between a status code 7 and a 24? Well, it doesn't really matter. That's not going to make me walk away. Understanding what happens whenever we have issues or pain points, that will start to affect things on an operational level that will translate back into your evaluation and due diligence process in regards to whether you're going to pay a full price, pay less, walk away, whatever it may be, right? And so you can start to see how difficult this is, because first off, every question that I come up with is always trying to tie back to how valuable will the answer be? Will it make me change my behavior, offer price, whatever, in some sort of way? The other thing is when I hear the answer, am I listening to BS or am I listening to an honest answer? And then I got to go one level further and say, hey, these answers are completely honest, but this answer is going to run the business into the ground and this guy's doing things right. All of these things stacked up together are really difficult. And so when you look at these businesses, you can continue to ask question after question after question, but sellers will start to just push you away and they'll get tired of you because they want to find a buyer that will ask the right questions, move quickly, and get an offer under the table. And so you can ask question after question after question. And each question that you ask, you're a little bit better off for it. But the problem is that the sellers will eventually push you away. They will feel like you're tire kicking, asking irrelevant and bad questions. And in their defense, some of the questions probably are irrelevant and bad. And the problem for you is that, hey, you don't know whether the question is going to be really relevant or not until you ask. So each time you're getting closer and closer. But a lot of times the sellers will just push people away because they get other people that think that they know how to evaluate this business, that there's nothing to evaluate because they're all the same. They all work on margins and they've already done their financial evaluation and they just place offers like super fast. And you're going to lose deals to those guys. We don't want to do that. We want to ask the right questions. We want to ask the right questions quickly and be able to move forward or pass, one of the two. And so anyway, hopefully this helps understand a little bit of the framework that I use when I come up with questions to ask sellers and understanding why it's so difficult a lot of times for people to come up with questions on their own. And if you want to check out a little bit more on my ideas on the art of fleet management, you can check out my video here. But other than that, drop a comment, like, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.